Welcome back. You're watching Signature Television, and we are live on YouTube and across all social media platforms that you operate on. That's LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just go in there and find us. Just type in Signature Television and we will pop up. Thank you for joining us today. So the United States elections is still something on the front burner across board. It's unprecedented, the very first time that Donald Trump is clinching that seat for the second time in 8 years. He first did it in 2016, and then he was rejected in 2020. And now here he is in 2024, back to the White House. There have been so many discussions around his presidency, what he would do, what he wouldn't do, his alliances, what he may most likely portend for the continent of Africa. So we'll discuss that further and expanded with a journalist of high repute who has joined in the discussions this morning. But before then, we're going to discuss something else that has happened in Abia State recently regarding the ZLP clinching 15 local government out of 17 local governments in Abia State. Incidentally, he is from Abia State. Mr. Michael Bani, good to have you. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
It's quite interesting. I mean, going by what has been going on across boards in terms of politics, entertainment, sports, business. But let's begin from home. ZLP recently clinched 15 local government out of 17 local government in Abia State. Abia State is the only state that Labour Party controls at the state level. I'm just wondering, do you think it was programmed, or quite frankly, ZLP, Zenith Labour Party, is having a strong hold in the state? Or is it reminiscent of what we have seen in River State, where a different political party has clinched most of the local government areas?
Thank you very much. If you go to Abia State, where I come from Item, in Bende local government area of Abia State. And Bende local government area is the largest local government, one of the largest local government areas in Nigeria. I keep on wondering why that local government has not been split into two. Well, to answer your question directly, there's no way you go to Abia State today and you see the signboard of ZLP, or you see their office, or you see anybody raising a flag to say he's a member of the ZLP, or so there is nothing. The ZLP as a political party might have existed in the past, but today, as I speak to you, or even before the local government proves, there was nothing like ZLP. I think what happened exactly was that there is this internal crisis in Labour Party, which went up to the national level, and the fear was that the national secretariat of the party, the Labour Party, will not be willing to give candidates from Labour Party, the nod to contest the local government, even though it is a local affair. The Labour Party in Abia State was finding it difficult. I'm not speaking as a spokesperson of the Labour Party, but from what I gathered, and one can authoritatively say that the Labour Party was having a problem of nominating candidates to contest the local government election as a result of the internal crisis in the party. So what the Labour Party decided was to take, their strong candidates from Labour Party, and ask them to move over to ZLP and contest the election. You can imagine a situation where ZLP won even the ward of the governor.
Yeah.
The governor's local government won, the deputy governor's local ward, the deputy governor's local government. ZLP that is not in existence existent in Abia State won those wards and local government. So it was an arrangement similar to what happened in River State. Even today, even today, when they go for their meetings, they don't answer ZLP, they answer Labour. It's the hand of Aesop or the voice of, so there's nothing like ZLP. It's just, I mean, if, like what we normally see in Nigeria, those guys may officially, publicly, de facto Labour Party. But there are strong Labour Party men who moved into ZLP. They are grassroots politicians in Labour Party. You know, it's not a question of picking riffraffs and, as they go and contest. These are, because I saw some of them, yesterday, 2 days back, and these are well-grounded people, well-educated people, and, I'm sure that before 6 months has elapsed, they would have come back to Labour Party. And I'm sure also that if the governor is discussing with them, he's not discussing with them as members of ZLP, but members of Labour Party. So Nigeria is a place where you see...
Dramatic.
But then let's watch out and see what will happen in the next 1 year, 2 years. You may even find a situation where the governor himself is moving to another political party to contest for a second term in office. And,
nothing does not stop them.
As a possibility.
Yeah, there's possibility of, if the crisis continues, because if you ask any APC person, chieftain in Abia State today, he will tell you that we're getting the state in 2027, that Abia belongs to, Abia will be captured. They say it's captured. I don't know what they're going to do. They say they will capture Abia State in 2027. You can only capture Abia in 2027 if the herdsman, who is OT, defects to APC. There's no other way you can, except what they normally do in election where people's votes don't count. But thank God that we are going to discuss a situation, a government, a country where votes count.
Absolutely.
The United States of America.
Well, America's vote has counted, and we all know what the results have become. What's your first reaction to it?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised that Mr. Trump won, because if you look back, when he lost this election, he told his countrymen, he told Biden and his men that he will come back. And I salute the spirit of courage, the spirit of enterprise, which Mr. Trump exhibited, since he lost, election some 4 years ago. He said he will come back. And today he's back. So I wasn't surprised that happened. And as a matter of fact, when you fielded, when Kamala Harris came on board, it was too late for anybody to do any kind of magic to win election. She came on board in July, and she hadn't any premonition that she was going to contest election in 2024. Nobody knew that she would be drafted. Nobody knew that Joe Biden will one night become weary and weak, to the extent that he couldn't put himself together during the debate with Mr. Trump. So the fear arose that if you push this kind of person to contest against Trump, that the Democrats might lose. And there was much pressure on Mr. Biden, to step down. So what I'm saying in effect is that the lady, even though I congratulate her for her audacity, for her determination to be the first black American woman president, but she wasn't prepared for, that election. Don't forget the fact that I told you that I said here that Trump started preparing for the election the day he lost. So you can't come into any election, not even in Nigeria, where results are written. I mean, where results are cooked. It can't happen in Nigeria. So you must have been prepared for the job. You must have been prepared for the campaigns. You must have, tutored yourself on the kind of issues you are going to raise, or the kind of issues that you will raise, and Americans will come to your side. So I wasn't surprised that Trump won, and Trump is a very decisive person, very audacious person. He doesn't care what you think, but he tells you what he wants to do, and he tells you that let's build America again. And that's what he's going to do in the next 4 years, I think.
Do you think that it was much more of a candidate problem for the Democrats? If the candidate was different, do you think the outcome would have been different?
Quite. If Biden, even though Biden was developed weariness and weakness at a point, Biden would have made a greater impact. In fact, when Mrs. Kamala Harris was, appointed as, Trump said it would be easier to defeat. It would be easier to defeat this woman than Biden. It would be easier, and you have seen what happened. It would be easier to defeat Harris. When Mrs. Clinton contested the U.S. presidential election, she won the majority votes. But when it came to the electoral votes, the electoral college votes, that's where she fell. This one lost the majority votes, lost the electoral college votes. So you can see that she wasn't prepared. One, she is a woman, and I don't think America is ready for a woman president at this point in time. So all those things might have counted against her candidature and her, failure to emerge or clinch the presidential position.
So there is a school of thought. A lot of people believe that, in fact, on Twitter, X now, there have been some conversations of people saying, now Trump is the president, how is it going to affect Nigeria as a country, or even the black race, Africa as a whole? We all knowing that Trump, of course, is a racist and all of that. So what do you think? Do you really think there's going to be any impact at all?
Yes. I think that Trump will make an impact in Africa, especially in Nigeria. In fact, that's one of the these positive impact that I feel that Trump will make. Is one of the reasons why I'm happy that he emerged. One is that he's going to support anti-corruption, the anti-corruption movement in Nigeria and across Africa. Because you don't forget the fact that it was the same when Trump was president. The American Navy, seized two cruise ships belonging to the former petroleum minister, Desiane Alison Madeke. And Trump had been very insistent on African leaders using the resources of Africa to develop Africa. And most of those African leaders, especially Nigerians who, before now had stashed their funds in the United States of America. I do know that the Trump presidency was very insistent on, fishing those guys out and, getting those illegally acquired, resources and wealth repatriated to Nigeria. Is it not that same person who called us Africans shithole or whatever? So when it comes, he's not happy from my own estimation. He's not happy that Africa is underdeveloped to the extent that I and you cannot drink potable water. I and you cannot enjoy steady electricity supply. I and you cannot ride on good roads. get good education. You know, so I am sure that the relationship with African leaders, especially with Nigeria, I read Mr. Tinubu's congratulatory message to him, but I'm sure that that relationship is going to be based on the concept of development, on the concept of giving back the people, the resources that is generated from their land, not taking those resources, you know, abroad to. America is developed now. Why do you take your Commonwealth and to put your Commonwealth in countries like America that have gone through development and have come to the nadir of development? So, you know, Trump win is Africans' win.
How brutal do you think it will be, given that this is the second term and he will have nothing to prove to anybody? He has won, and then after the 4 years, he's going to go back, and you never hear of him again. I mean, he becomes the previous president, referred to as former president. Given what he has said throughout his campaign, he's going to deport undocumented immigrants, even though America, you know, you could argue that it's a country of immigrants. You know, so he's going to remove that. He's going to make sure that he drives through, and then his relationship, or the American relationship with Israel, vis-a-vis the war, and then the Ukraine and Russian war. I mean, we've seen him make some comments, and you know, campaign is different from reality. Some campaign thoughts you could just put out just because you're looking for votes. You're just looking to, you know, go across board. But in reality, what do you think he would do with his relationship and his stance between America and Israel as it concerns Hamas and Hezbollah, and of course by extension Iran, and then the other one, which is his relationship and his thoughts on immigrants?
Well, I think to answer your question pointedly, America is a superpower, is a world power, and I don't think Trump is going to do anything that will reduce the level of America's position when it comes to defense and armaments. If we take a country like Ukraine, Mr. Trump says, promise that if he comes into power the second time, like he has just won, is going to resolve the Ukrainian crisis. That's the war between Ukraine and Russia within 24 hours. And that was I want to think that's a campaign rhetoric, is campaign promise, which in reality might not work. I don't see him resolving this crisis in 24 hours. Some people have said that what Trump might tell Mr. Zelensky is, look, hold on to the territories that you control, currently, and allow Russia to hold on to places like Crimea and eastern part of Ukraine that Russia had invaded. So that was the thought among the majority of people before this election and before his victory just yesterday or so. Well, I don't see those things happening. I don't see Trump doing anything that will reduce Americans' superiority or capacity to influence the world politics. Because when you do that, it means that you are conceding you have conceded defeat. It means that the America and the West have considered the defeat. It means also that you have aligned yourself to the concept of Russian expansionism that is ongoing. So you see, when you leave Russia, for instance, you say a state like Crimea, or which is part of Ukraine, you seize it, and you keep expanding, the possibility is there for you to one day you will annex the whole of Ukraine and annex the whole of the remaining Western countries. So America under Mr. Trump is going to make sure that Russian expansionist movement or concept is curtailed. So he might reduce the level of military support, to Ukraine, because he is a man who believes in peace. He's a man who believes that it will do American people good if you use resources, if you use the wealth that ought to have been used, to provide social services, to not just to Americans but also across to countries across the world, and you put it in fighting wars. You put those resources in fighting wars. That is a waste. He believes in that, but I don't see him allowing Russia to expand the way Russia is going. So at a point, he knows where to put a stop to Russian expansionism. Again, I don't see him, even though he despises National Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, even though he despises them, but the new NATO Secretary General is such a staunch, strong supporter of Ukraine. So, in essence, if Russia wants to, if America wants to go the way of Russia, NATO will stand firm. Even if when we talk about military armaments and military equipment, I don't see America I don't see America bigger, greater than countries like Germany, like countries like United Kingdom. Okay, yes, American military intelligence is superb. American, tanks are superb, but they don't surpass those of Germany, those of UK, and all the other European countries supporting. So I see a situation where America under Trump is going to keep on putting Russia at bay, which is what Mr. Biden is trying to do in supporting Ukraine. So most of those things that he said he would do, like the war in between in the Middle East,
yes.
Trump will continue to support Israel. Okay, and don't forget the fact that he was he made it possible for Israel to move to Jerusalem, and asked that the Foreign Office, as the American mission, be moved to where now? Is it Tel Aviv or?
Tel Aviv, yes.
So and his support for Israel is non-negotiable. Okay, but his support for Ukraine may be reduced to a level, but not completely.
But of course, we've seen videos. He has a personal relationship with Zelensky. Do you think that might even come into play at any point?
What do you mean by personal relationship?
He brought Zelensky to his store, to the Trump store, I think, this year, to have a conversation there about. Do you think that could even help in, fostering the war happening between Ukraine and Russia?
So that's why I said he said he would bring Zelensky in a room, bring Putin in a room, and resolve the issue within 24 hours. And I said I don't see him doing that, because doing that would mean that doing that would mean like some people said that assume or rather suggest that Trump project or Trump's strategy is as to ask Zelensky to remain or contain or retain the areas that he is in control of today, and Russia to retain areas like Crimea and the eastern side of Ukraine that his forces had invaded and remained there up to this moment. No, that might not happen. If he does that, He's creating a situation where tomorrow Russia might just wake up and say, look, this land belongs to us, this country belongs to us, we are going to invade it. Trump, whatever you talk about Ukraine, Trump is going to ensure that Russian expansionist tendency is curtailed. That's the point I'm making. And there's just no other way of doing that except by saying, my friend, you have because I mean, we are talking about international relations. No country will like the other country to take away its own territory. If today any country invades America, America will insist on getting those territories back. So I think we're not going to see a situation where U.S. will hands off from supporting completely from supporting. They may reduce the level of support to Ukraine, but not entirely. And he may have other he may have other strategies to convince Putin or to convince Zelensky that enough is enough, but not in trying to withdraw America's total support, for Ukraine. Doing that will be supporting Russian expansionist tendency.
Imagine that.
Interesting conversation, really. I mean, I'm just reading up on the aftermath of his election. Houthis declares a ceasefire. Remember, Houthi are, fighting Israel from the ocean. But I'm just wondering, really, as the president of the United States, is more like he's faced with a lot of problems, unlike where he was coming from between 2016 and 2021. Well, right now there are too many things happening at the same time. He has said America first, but he still has some obligations to cater to. He's someone who doesn't even believe in climate change. He doesn't care about climate change. In fact, he says, what do you mean by climate change? That he even withdrew support, American support, for climate change. And so funds that were supposed to be used for research, were pulled. Not until Joe Biden came up and then restated all those things. And even the relations with other African countries and even other countries was actually reduced. So it felt like America was, not concerned about what's going on around the world, but they just want to concern themselves about what's going on within their territory. He has told Americans, America first. So how do you think that he will now be in the middle of all of these issues that are happening around him outside the country, and then still be able to cater to the fact that, he has to deal with meeting up with the obligations within the U.S. state?
Yes, I've told you that Trump believes in peace, and I'm sure that he's going to work tirelessly, going to work assiduously towards achieving peace in the world. The Houthi you talked about is you forgot to mention that it is a terrorist organization. And Trump is going to treat all terrorist organizations the way that Mr. Biden had treated them. That is to say, ensure that terrorist organizations across the world, are removed. And that's one of the reasons why Mr. Biden and the American present government is supportive of the Israeli government over its fight with Hamas. So, but what I want us to understand is that we are dealing with a man who is interested in making peace across the world, instead of these pockets of wars, conflicts across the world, because he believes that the money that you are spending to prosecute a war should be used to provide essential social services, to the people. I also want to state that or the things that happened during his first tenure, like his aversion to climate change, like his withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan. Such things might not happen this time around because the world is a dynamic place. So many changes have taken place. We are in a new world, and Mr. Trump is going to look at the new world from the perspective. He's not going to look at the present state of affairs across the world with the same perspective he operated when he was president, and I'm sure his advisors are going to. I'll see him returning to climate change, even though he said he doesn't know what is climate change. Of course, I and you understand climate change. Why would American president, So I see him, doing things to support peace, orderliness across the length and breadth of all the continents in the world. So he's not going to be as abrasive as he was in his first tenure. He has learned his lessons.
Okay, let's hope so. But I mean, he's not going to come back after now, so people will think that he's going to be brutal.
No. I don't think so. He would want. He want to maintain. He want to leave a legacy. He want to leave a legacy. That's the way I think about it. He want to leave a legacy, coming from a country that believes in strong institutions, and a country that believes in constitution, respect for the Constitution. You cannot just wake up as President of the United States of America and say, go and arrest Mr. Charles because he spoke on television or radio.
I think Trump already even have a tough skin for people talking about him. He doesn't really
So the law will be followed. And America is not Nigeria where anything happens. The law, the Constitution must be followed. If Trump were to be a Nigerian, they would have clamped him in jail over what he did, over his refusal to accept defeat, after the last election that brought Biden into office. But they have followed the due judicial process, up to today. He has been convicted. He has not been sentenced, and he might not be sentenced after
he leaves the office.
He leaves office anyway.
Right.
But all I'm saying is that he's not going to be as abrasive as he was. If you say he was brutal when he was during his first outing, he will be less brutal. Because a lot have changed in the world. He would like to leave a legacy. He want to build America to the point of making America great and greater again.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mike Ubani, for your time and insights on today's program, which really appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, so we're back shortly after this. By the way, we're going straight to the entertainment updates, and I'm sure that my colleague is standing by for that.